And by the way, while Charles Barkley was going off and calling us fools at ESPN, he acknowledged that he was about to be a fool because they're about to be over here.
What I tell you.
And what you think Charles Barkley gonna be doing? Didn't Charles Barkley? You thought I got called out by LeBron. Did you see what LeBron did with Charles Barkley years ago?
What is up, world? Welcome back, Charge the Game podcast. And today's topic is going to be us reacting to Stephen A. Smith, pretty much acknowledging that there is beef between Charles Barkley, Kendrick Perkins, and the whole ESPN crew. And if I have to be honest about this, guys, I just feel like it's the blame game. People want to know who's responsible for the fail of the NBA, and people are in their feelings. So let's get into this, guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, thumbs up, like the video. Let's go.
Man, Kendrick Perkins was pretty upset at the way Charles Barkley was talking about him. Kendrick, stop. Charles Barkley talks about everybody like this. If you get around Barkley for more than 24 hours, he's gonna call you a fool or an idiot about something. That's number one. He means no harm. There's only one person in media Charles Barkley hates, and we all know who that is. Okay? He used to work at ESPN, then he went over to Fox. Everybody knows who he is.
Now, guys, we all know that Charles Barkley does not like Skip Bayless, but there is a reason Kendrick Perkins is so frustrated with Charles Barkley right now. And like Stephen A. Smith says, Charles Barkley does not mince his words. Let's go to the clip where Charles Barkley acknowledges Kendrick Perkins and calls him out.
On TV talking about the Lakers save the NBA.
Save the NBA?
Yeah. He's an idiot and a fool, but he know who he is. What's his name, Shaq?
Which one are you talking about?
Kendrick Perkins. Oh, he said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers will have a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about. The season's been going great for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Y'all are idiots because y'all talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 12 straight games. The Oklahoma City got the MVP, and they all...
Now, guys, if you have not seen the full clip, then you probably want to go over to Inside the NBA and watch what Charles Barkley had to say, because he completely unleashes. But if I have to be honest, guys, I agree with Charles Barkley here. There is no reason why the NBA should not be covering all of the talent that's throughout the NBA. That's why markets stay small in the NBA, because the main fish are LeBron James, Kevin Durant. And what Charles Barkley is simply saying is that people over at these other networks, ESPN, who is the #1 sports show for the last 12, 13 years, is getting out of control. They literally talk about the same things every single day. I do not blame Charles Barkley not one bit for calling out Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins, or anybody else in that nature, because it has gone on long enough. Especially when you see, like you said, you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing great things. You see the Boston Celtics with a good record. You see the Cleveland Cavaliers with a good record. And none of those teams are being discussed. So Kendrick Perkins, of course, is in his feelings because he feels like Charles Barkley was out of pocket for calling him a fool and an idiot, which I gotta be honest, Charles Barkley is known to have an attitude and also known to tell it like it is. However, in this instance, I just feel like, man, the truth is the truth. Is LeBron James fatigue, is Warriors fatigue, is Bronny James fatigue. Bronny James gets more coverage than people who have actually done great things for the NBA. And this is why I have to agree with Charles Barkley. Now back to Stephen A. Smith.
People pay attention to the stuff that they want to pay attention to. They turn the channel when you talk about stuff they don't care to hear about. I got news for TNT right now. Charles Barkley, spend 10, 15 minutes talking about Oklahoma City, the #1 team in the West. Spend the same amount of time talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then take a look at your ratings. If you ain't mentioning Boston, you ain't mentioning New York, you ain't mentioning LA, you ain't mentioning LeBron, you ain't mentioning Steph, you're not mentioning Jimmy Butler with Steph, you're not mentioning Luka Doncic with LeBron, you're not doing any of those things, watch where it gets you.
Now, I'm not going to lie. That's very valid. And we all know as content creators, being YouTubers, you have to talk about the things that, let's be real here, they have to have drama included, or they have to be things that just the mass of people want to hear. But I also do feel like, on the other hand, you can acknowledge teams that you can groom an audience to kind of be open to hearing other topics. The problem of the matter is you spend so much time talking about one thing that it grooms the audience to be, it's like a drug, like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Like, it's going to always be that way when you put the emphasis on everything revolving around these superstar caliber athletes, right? But nonetheless, man, Stephen A. Smith knows TV, he knows business, and he knows what's good for his he knows what's good for his managers. I mean, Stephen A. Smith is the same guy that said he literally wakes up every day and think about how he can make more money for his company, his bosses, and then himself. So he does understand algorithm, and I think that, there's nothing wrong with saying that. But at the end of the day, if we're going to talk true basketball and you want fans to buy into it, it simply has to be the truth. And the truth of the matter is Kendrick Perkins, along with Stephen A. Smith, they will never stop talking about LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. They will never stop talking about Bronny James. As long as LeBron James is in the league, right, he's going to be covered. It's just like the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are obviously not the best team in the NFL. They haven't been in quite some time. But what is good for ratings is every time Jerry Jones opens his mouth, it's a soundbite. And that's exactly how it is for the NBA.
But in terms of the subject matters to be tackled, you pay attention to what resonates with the audience and also what games you're featuring. Charles Barkley is the same person that says, literally working for the network, I don't know why the hell anybody will watch this game if it's a particular game he's disgusted by. I don't know why anybody would pay attention to this subject, that subject, because he's talking. So everybody just relax. That's not who Charles Barkley is. When he brings up ESPN, ESPN is a 24/7 network. We ain't playing NBA games, airing NBA games, and airing a half-hour pregame show and then an hour-long postgame show, and then before and after you got a Law and Order episode. That's not what we do at ESPN. We are a 24/7 sports network.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. That is a shot from Stephen A. Smith to Charles Barkley. And it's because, obviously, Charles Barkley and the whole NBA inside crew, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, Ernie, they aren't too enthused to be joining the ESPN network because they always mock Stephen A. Smith about how much he works and how underpaid he was. Obviously, though, Stephen A. Smith has just acquired $100+ million contract. Well-deserved for the hat that he wears and the multiple roles that he plays. But this is simply a shot at Charles Barkley because Stephen A. Smith wants Charles Barkley and the NBA inside crew to know at the end of the day that he runs ESPN. That's the more deep root cause of everything that's going on. If you follow the breadcrumbs, it's a source of power, man. Game of Thrones around here, man. They don't really want to partner up with ESPN, and Stephen A. Smith doesn't want them either because it's honestly best to keep them separated from one another. But however, we do know with the whole Warner deal that is just, it's a done deal now. So they will be forced to work and coexist with one another. And Kendrick Perkins will see Charles Barkley just like Charles Barkley would see Kendrick Perkins.
So you're going to find yourself talking about things, even regurgitating things, getting into stuff, talking about things, giving people ideas about narratives and all of that stuff. Why? Because it's the kind of thing people think about. And by the way, while Charles Barkley was going off and calling us fools at ESPN, he acknowledged that he was about to be a fool because they're about to be over here.
What I tell you.
And what you think Charles Barkley gonna be doing? And what kind of narratives you think he's gonna be creating? Charles Barkley ain't never created any narrative. Charles Barkley ain't never opened his mouth and said, yo, blah, blah, blah. And that ended up being a story the next day.
Like I told you guys, man, they don't want to work with one another. ESPN and NBA inside crew, those guys are used to doing things their way. If you ask me, I think that the NBA inside crew, I think that that's a better TV show than any TV show on ESPN, simply because of the personalities, the organic. It doesn't seem like they're ever playing middleman like Stephen A. Smith. He wants to appease to different people, which is why he clamored when LeBron James approached him, but then gets on TV and acts totally different, right? That's simply what it boils down to. I don't think that Charles Barkley is too excited to be covering the league the way that Stephen A. Smith does. I don't think that they agree with his style, and they always say that you are overworked. They want to come in and do things their way, and Stephen A. Smith is letting them know, like, hey, you guys come to ESPN, you guys are going to have to do the same damn thing that I'm doing. And Stephen A. Smith is just pretty much giving them the forewarning on that, which is nothing wrong with. And I also feel like they are trying to point the fingers at who exactly is ruining the game. You got on one hand Kendrick Perkins talking about the Lakers save the season, and then you got LeBron James, the face of the league, saying that, hey, you got these guys on TV who bash us because these players are now sensitive. And Chuck is like, well, the reason that this league is no longer interesting is because you guys cover the same topics every single day. So it's just a blame game.
Charles Barkley, you thought I got called out by LeBron. Did you see what LeBron did with Charles Barkley years ago?
Yeah, I remember
and Charles
that.
Barkley had to address it by saying he wasn't going to get personal. It happens. How many people has Shaq gotten in? that Luka and the Lakers potentially making a championship run isn't a relevant storyline?
Yes, Stephen A. Smith, you are correct. Here's the thing, though. One team does not save the NBA. Now, has Luka and LeBron potentially saved the Lakers season? I will 100% stand behind that. I do see the chemistry. I do feel like they've caught fire. We did just see what happens when they play more of a contender in the Celtics. And we can call that a maybe game because LeBron James did not finish the fourth quarter due to the injury with his groin and whatnot. But the season is more than just LeBron James and the Luka-led Lakers. I understand both points too. You also have to understand that though Kendrick Perkins may be really on to something, the LeBron James fatigue is kicking in. It has been kicking in for years. The Lakers, the Warriors, all of the main people that they continuously talk about is just fatigue. Honestly, it's just, and I love watching basketball. I don't watch it as much as I used to. I just feel like the brand itself has been diminished. And it's not as popular until football is done and when the playoffs are starting to gear up, if I gotta be real, guys. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And in the middle of this league being so boring right now, I think that Stephen A. Smith has to go out here and talk about LeBron James-led topics, MJ versus LeBron. It just never gets old. And I gotta be real, Jason Whitlock made a video about this on how Skip Bayless started this.
It doesn't mean Cleveland is not a great story. It doesn't mean Oklahoma City is not a great story. Let me tell you something right now. Oklahoma at Cleveland in the regular season maybe have been the best game of the year. That was a phenomenal game. And if they were to meet each other in the NBA Finals, it would be phenomenal. How about LA going up against Cleveland with LeBron going up against his old franchise in an effort to try and capture an NBA championship, which would give him 5, which would tie him with Kobe Bryant, which would make people say there's nothing to discuss because he won a championship at the age of 40. He is officially the GOAT over Michael Jordan.
Stephen A. Smith get cussed out by LeBron James and completely loses his mind. There is nowhere in my lifetime in NBA history where I can regurgitate that verbiage that Stephen A. Smith just said because of his longevity, knowing that the rules have changed, knowing that the playing styles are different, knowing that it's a 3-point based league. It doesn't matter what LeBron James does at this point. I understand that he struck a little fear in you now, Stephen A. Smith. But I have to be honest when I say this. I just don't ever see LeBron James being even better than Kobe Bryant in my book. But it's always going to be Michael Jordan number 1. Always, always. And this is why Charles Barkley's point is being proved right here. We do seriously have to stop comparing these eras. They are 2 different eras, 2 different mentalities. I just don't think that it's a serious conversation at the end of the day. That the stuff that Jordan did to pave the way, along with Bird, Isaiah, Magic, like I just feel like you really can't compare that era to this era.
As opposed to actually knowing it. Meaning knowing what storylines resonate on a day-to-day basis. I'm not taking a shot at them. I'm just telling you, the brother's preoccupied. He's got golf, he's got gambling, he's got a whole bunch of stuff that he loves to do. He lives his best life. So my brother, I love Charles Barkley. Love him to death. And guess what? It wouldn't surprise me at all if tomorrow on TV, I'm the idiot.
So there you guys have it. Stephen A. Smith, being the typical middleman that he is, doesn't want to choose sides, or he has to somewhat act like he's standing up for his boy Kendrick Perkins while simultaneously respecting Charles Barkley. But you guys let me know what y'all think. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button for your boy. Thumbs up and like this video, and I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Peace.